Welcome to the Kelly and Erinn Show. We're so glad you're here.
We're a mother-daughter duo and founders of Kelly's Bake Shop. We built a nationally recognized brand, faced unimaginable challenges, and have chosen to rise again and again, all in the pursuit of a life aligned with truth, freedom, and love.
Each week, we're sharing real, unfiltered conversations about entrepreneurship, healing, and expanding through personal growth, and choosing joy, even when life gets tough.
This is your invitation to come home to yourself. Let's get into it. Welcome to our very first episode of the Kelly and Erinn Show. We're so happy that you're here. This has been a very, very long time coming for us to actually, create this space within ourselves and within our life to get into the world of podcasting again, I should say, because we did have a podcast before, but we are ready to just level up our lives, level up everything, and really share anything and everything that's been going on. And I did want to say, for those of you that have no idea who we are Kelly and Erinn, and we are a mom and daughter team that started Kelly's Bake Shop all the way back in 2012. So we wanted to use this episode as kind of a starting point to give all of our listeners that are listening to us, hopefully from around the world right now, that would be so cool, just give everyone just an understanding as to who we are, what we do, and how everything started for us. So, Mom, let's dive into it.
And I want to add that too, because I think it's so important to learn about the personalities and the humans behind Kelly's Bake Shop, because that's so important to our brand, is that we're just not this, bake shop. We actually are these, human folks just finding our way through life. And we're just normal people figuring it out along the way. And somehow we just took this leap of faith, and somehow we were just divinely supported with where we are in our life. So I'm just so grateful to be doing this with you today, Erinn. And as you mentioned too, our previous podcast, which was still an amazing success, but we sort of shelved it about 5 years ago because we felt that our vision and who we were was just sort of being dismantled. And here we've recreated a whole new vision of our purpose and our footprint in this world. So I think it's amazing. I'm so happy to be doing this. I'm so excited. The energy is so high, and I hope you guys can feel this.
So let's jump into it. Let's bring everybody back to 2009, 2010, when this journey started for us. So take us on the journey, Mom, or start to at least.
Well, the journey was we changed our diets in 2008, and we went to a plant-based lifestyle, and we were, so excited about it. We were new to this way of eating with this lifestyle and, being this healthier version of ourselves and creating a new lifestyle for our family. We were even doing raw vegan, and I was making so much stuff at home. It was wild. And anyways, I was so inspired with it that I just kept on nudging all of you guys, our family, and saying I need to do this as a restaurant, I need to build something for people to be able to go to, because we weren't able to find a place to eat ourselves. And anyways, we were away on vacation, and I had a download of this epiphany of the word kind food. And it was wow, yeah, kind to your body, kind to the planet, kind to the animals, and just that whole way of looking at life in a very spiritual, beautiful way. And I immediately went on to domains at cost or whatever those domains at cost. I'm securing it. So we got kindfood.com. And in 2010, May of 2010, we opened up Kind Food in downtown Burlington. And it was a huge success. But prior to opening it and all the build out and all the work we had to do, we had a lot of naysayers that were saying, oh, you really think that, vegan is going to work in downtown Burlington? Do you really think this healthy way of eating is going to work? And went, well,
this was Yeah, and totally. And this was in 2010, right? So this is before, being plant-based or gluten-free or any of this kind of stuff was trendy like it is today. We were those pioneers right at the very beginning, even before the beginning of this now trend. But for us, it was just a way of eating and a way of living. And Kind Food was such a cool spot because we created this place that was a juice bar, a grocery store, a cafe, bakery. We had tens of thousands of dollars worth of inventory of like really cool products from all around North America that we love to eat ourselves. And then we had this really killer lunch menu and juice bar menu and these delicious cookies that Kelly created. And it was just like a total vibe. Like when you walked into Kind Food, it felt like you were in a little place in like Southern California.
I
And
was
that
just
was
going to say that.
definitely, yeah. And
What
that
was our
was
favorite
definitely,
place to go
yeah.
to?
Yeah, like our favorite place to go to as a family was Southern California. And that was definitely a huge inspiration for Kind Food to take off. And yeah, mom, like what you're saying, there were so many naysayers. So many people were saying to us, good luck. You guys will be around for a few months and then you're going to close up because who the heck's going to eat this food? Like, what are you guys even serving? And we basically just use that as fuel to just say, you know, watch us go. And since we opened at Kind Food, like in May of 2010, we had a lineup of customers day and night lining up for our, whether it's our like lunch menu or our baked goods or our juice bar. People absolutely loved Kind Food. So we were a very, very busy spot, and we baked a lot of treats there every single day, to the point that every horizontal space in the morning, when Kelly was in there or when I was in there or when both of us were in there, we just became so busy that we could not keep up with the demand of the treats that we were creating. And I know, mom, you started 99% of all these beautiful recipes that Kind Food offered. And the demand from going from, because we started things with spelt flour as opposed to gluten free. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, well, because I mean, that's how I fed you as a kid too, right? You know, everything that we were creating in Kind Food were the things that you were raised on too. So spelt flour was it. Like I loved the whole grain flours and because you had no allergies to look after. And but what we found out was about 7 months in, there was this huge demand for gluten-free products. And moms were coming and saying, well, my son has this dairy allergy, but he's also allergic to gluten. Can you like make a cake like that? Can you do some cookies like that? And can you do a swap out? And I went, okay, yeah, okay. So here
Sure.
I am researching online what gluten-free is. And I'm going like, oh my, I'm teaching myself a whole new world, because it's one thing too, to do gluten-free by itself and still adding eggs. Like that's easy. But when you're doing, because eggs add that glutinous sort of chewy texture to a product. But when you're eliminating the eggs as well as the gluten in a product, like that's a whole new world. So, I was using chia seeds and applesauce and sweet potato and flax seeds and all this different stuff to create these vegan eggs. And anyways, here we are. That it was just such a success. We literally, on a Saturday morning, there were so many orders because we both didn't know how to say no. And every horizontal spot in that business was stacked with like cookie orders and cupcake orders and cake orders. I was literally going into the business at 3 or 4 in the morning to keep up with that demand. It was absolutely wild.
And I think that's when we really realized that we were on to something big. And it was bigger than the capacity of Kind Food. And there was a moment in, late 2011 that we looked at each other and just said, like, we need our own space. Like we need our own bakery. Kind Food needs to stand on its own 2 feet, and the bakery needs to have its own location and stand on its own 2 feet. So we started searching for a location for Kelly's Bake Shop as it is today, present day. And we found it in May of 2012, the location for Kelly's Bake Shop at 401 Brant Street. And we opened there in December of 2012, December 8th of 2012. We opened, and it was 100%, or it is 100% gluten-free, plant-based, dairy-free, egg-free, and peanut-free bake shop. And for us, it's always been so important to include everyone in these moments, in these sweet moments in life, because so many people, kids and adults, anybody and everyone, have started to be excluded from these events, having allergies or dietary choices or restrictions. And for us, it was just such a beautiful thing to be able to offer people to come together and to include everyone.
It's always been that way, hasn't it? You know, even in Kind Food was just, we celebrated everyone and all walks of life, all cultures, all allergies, all ways of eating. And we've we've just always lived our life that way. And I don't know if that's the secret ingredient to our success, because we lead with with love and acceptance fully forward. And I think that there's just so many businesses that are afraid to expose that vulnerable, loving side because, I've never wanted our product to be, oh, coming in for a cupcake and then you're just gone and like leaving. No, no, we find out about the people. We find out about your life and we engage, and because every life matters, and that's just how we've rolled. So when were faced with that allergy decision, it was no small feat to get rid of spelt flour out of Kind Food, because we actually had to eliminate the bread too that we were using. That was this beautiful, wholesome bread that was being created for us in the Niagara region. And we were bringing in this sourdough spelt flour. And it was all of our sandwiches and our croutons and all the things that were being made in our savory part of Kind Food. And so we had to eliminate that and go to gluten-free bread as well, because you just can't be gluten-free optional, right? So that's something that we've learned along the way, is that optional is not anything that will look after someone with celiac disease. You have to be 100% gluten-free in your facility, because gluten is airborne, not like dairy and eggs. We had to get rid of the bread altogether. And it was a big decision because that changed the brand, that changed the whole business model of Kind Food at that point. So it was a big step, but it was just so worth it, because we then got to include everyone.
Yes.
And that's what was important to us.
Absolutely. And when we opened Kelly's Bake Shop in December of 2012, had a lineup of customers out the door and around the corner. It was absolutely incredible. And I think still to this day, I think it's just such a beautiful moment to be so proud of, that we created something in that moment that was 13 years ago that so many people were so excited and so pumped up about.
Yeah, it was
And I remember looking at you on the grand opening and saying, okay, so, we have a lineup today on our grand opening. Like, that's awesome. But are there going to be people showing up tomorrow? Like, are we actually going to have customers tomorrow? And lo and behold, of course we did, right? We did every
yeah,
day kind of since that point. But yeah, it's freaking
totally.
terrifying,
It is, because you're taking this leap of faith with something that you've created with your own two hands, your heart, literally just a dream. And you don't know if other people are going to resonate with your dream as well. And we were terrified to put out that much rent. I think that in 2012, the rent was 5,000 a month, which was, I mean, looking now, you can't find anything for 5,000 a
No.
month. But then it was 5,000 plus like whatever all other things they added to it. But and that was like more than what we ever dreamt possible. But something that I learned in that moment in time, because we were looking at cheaper places. We had gone into the Hamilton area. We had gone and looked at other, potential locations for this, venture into the Kelly's Bake Shop world. I am admitting this, like it's a learning point for me, is that I was playing small, and I was looking at when I was searching online for things that were, much less money, thinking that I was afraid because I wasn't sure if we were going to be supported the next day, as you're saying, on day 2. What's that going to look like, right? And I believe that by jumping into that deep end, because that's what it was like ripping off the Band-Aid and jumping in the deep end with no life preserver. Okay, guys, because we had maxed out our house, the second mortgage on the house. Like these lines of credit, things were at like 20% interest rates. I had these banks shutting the door because I was the one that out there door knocking to get money to fund this venture. And Kind Food was cash flowing, but not, cash flowing enough to go and do a location 2, or what that would look like. And it was honestly terrifying. But I've recognized my what's the word I'm looking for? This the money imprint, the scarcity, the
Yeah,
lack.
the trauma, yeah, probably associated.
Yeah, being raised in a family with, I didn't go to university. My family couldn't afford it. Like we lived very frugally. I did not have a lavish childhood at all. And to have that imprint of lack was very telling to me, that, for there to be customers on day 2 and 3 and 4 and onward up to like, the 13 years was just such an honor. I was like, every day I was so grateful for the people that came through the doors, that really resonated and wanted what we did. We wanted to be a part of it so badly. So I believe that we were just truly supported. So that was my lesson in letting go and stopping stuffing myself into this box of lack, and understanding that if you're following your passion, if you're following your dreams, like the rest is going to follow. Maybe we could have even gotten a place for double the rent of that. Like, what would it look like to have gotten a place for 10,000 a month? Like, I don't know. But in that moment in time, 5,000 was a lot of money, and it was beyond what I ever thought we would survive through. And I believed there was this trust that was flowing on such another level. Anyways, this evolution of Kelly has been wild through this whole thing.
I love that. And I also just wanted to add that when we signed the lease and all that great stuff for 401 Brand Street, the first location of Kelly's Bake Shop, the location itself, like the building itself, had been up for sale as well. And hindsight's 20 on that one, which we will go into on our next episode. You guys have to tune in for that one, because had we have, had the cash and the resources to actually purchase that building at that time, my oh my, how our life would be so much different in this moment right now in May of 2025, which we will go into in the next episode. It is incredible how much, just going back to like the personal growth side of things as a business owner, especially starting something that's so new, it's so fresh, so there's so many unknowns within all of it. I mean, I'll speak on my behalf. I was 22 years old when we started Kelly's Bake Shop, and I didn't know how to manage people. I didn't know how to lead people. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. We started out with 2 or 3 employees at Kelly's Bake Shop, and I look back now on different videos of myself, and I look back on just different documents that I had created and like all these emails that I had sent, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I
Oh,
am
shoot. Yeah.
such a different person. And I heard this was like the other week or something. I saw a little reel on Instagram, and someone said that being an entrepreneur is like the biggest, most intense form of personal development and personal growth that a human being can actually go through, because it will poke holes in all of your insecurities and kind of rip you apart, pull you back together. And it's just this beautiful opportunity for you to grow as an individual. And I can fully say that yes, it has definitely allowed me to grow.
There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
And our best way of going through entrepreneurship is with pure vulnerability. I believe that, because we're just open to learn all the time and be called out for the things that we do that are not good for the business or for the employees or for, ourselves or whatever. I remember going to you when you were just finishing McMaster. And so I guess it was around your 22nd birthday because you're born in April. And so you were just winding down 4th year. And we knew we were looking for Kelly's Bake Shop. We were like looking for a location. And I remember going to you, and I'm going to guess it was maybe in March of 2012. And I said to you, so like, what do you think about going into the cupcake business as a permanent like gig, right? And it was like, because university does not set you up
No,
for success as far as I'm concerned.
agreed.
There's no business courses. There's no real life lessons or anything. It's just a bunch of regurgitated stuff. And anyways, but I want to save that for another podcast. Let's call it the education system. But I do recall that conversation with you. And I remember looking at you with just this pure innocence in a way, this leapfrogging into the deep end with your mom into like something that was just wild. Like I had no idea what it was going to look like. I had no idea. But I just knew that I was this little girl that used to make mud pies, and I used to feed them to the animals. And, in the backyard, my dad built me this make believe kitchen bakery when I was like 4 or 5 years old. And it was like an old kitchen that had been discarded. And so it was set up in the ravine of the back of our property. And it was priceless. And I would feed these cheesecakes and and cupcakes or cookies or whatever, and I'd make them out of different kinds of mud and different kinds of sand, and sparkling sugar was like this sparkly sand, and make believe stuff, right? And I remember feeding them to the squirrels and the birds, and they were my customers, and my dad would come back there too, and I'd feed it to him, and he'd love them and stuff. And but that dream came true, like that joy that I was giving to the squirrels and to the birds and to my dad, like that came true in this business. And my greatest honor and my greatest gift has been able to do it with you, and pass it off, pass this joy into you. Yeah, it's been just a magical time to create this vision for the world.
Absolutely.
Because that's all I've wanted to ever do is imbibe, like infuse more love into this world. Because that's the only thing that's real. And it's the only thing that's really of any importance is this connection to one another. And we created that because everyone's been able to enjoy our treats together. And anyways, that's really the birth of Kelly's Bake Shop of all. So 2012 was a big year for us.
It definitely
Yeah,
was. And
definitely.
I think too, I think that's been one of the biggest secrets to our success, these past 15 years is that we've just been so focused on bringing people together and creating joy and, just delivering that to so many people that the success has followed. We haven't set out to make all this money and do all this stuff because running a business is really hard, might I add. It's this connection. And that's why when people come into Kelly's Bake Shop, they come in with tears in their eyes, a lot of them, because they've never been able to enjoy a cupcake or a cookie because they have an allergy or they're, vegan or they have a dietary restriction, anything like that. And for them, it's just such a magical place that they can look at our entire menu, all of our cookies, cupcakes, brownies, muffins, and not have to second guess it, not have to think about cross contamination, not have to pick and choose certain items on the menu. And that's just such a beautiful and such a rewarding thing to be able to provide such joy to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people these past 13 years.
You calculated it. Don't
Yeah,
kid yourself, kiddo. There's over
millions.
3 million people, we've calculated it, that we've served in the last 13 years. And that is huge for a little mom and daughter business. Our reach is so big. And we've had so many naysayers at the beginning. It was wild, just absolutely wild. Even when we were taking the leapfrog from Kind Food to Kelly's Bake Shop. And, I had a very close family member that just said, do you really think you're going to make money from cupcakes? Do you really think you're going to have a successful business and make a living from cupcakes? I said, watch me go as the tears are running down my face. Challenge me on that. It was my dream. Like, you're ripping it apart. And I never wavered. I never backed down. And just everything that has hit us along the way, just keep on plowing forward. Because I just know that the mission is bigger than me and you. The story and really the vision and the mission of Kelly's Bake Shop is so much bigger than you and I, Erinn.
Absolutely. And we've said that now for over a decade that Kelly's Bake Shop itself is just this living, breathing entity now. It has a life of its own, it has a mind of its own, it has all of this stuff that is way bigger than us and will continue to be bigger and bigger than us as time moves on. I think that gives everyone a nice understanding as to just our origin story, as to who we are, what we do, how we started. And the next episode that we're going to be sharing is going to be something that's been very close to our heart and been a massive challenge that we've had to endure these last 90 days for us as a business, as business owners, as mom and daughter, everything, probably the most stressful and the most intense thing we've ever had to move through. So we really hope that you can join us in this next episode. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast. Please leave us a review. It helps us as a new podcast out there get higher up in the ratings and rankings on all these amazing streaming platforms. So thank you so much. And we will talk to you soon.